do that first. And there we go. I'll turn the volume down so people can hear me. And I will say good evening, everybody. My name is Ose, and tonight I'm playing Farming Sim 19 on Estancia, Lapacho. And I need to take this lot down to someplace useful that's going to give me money. It's probably called the barn. And as soon as I get back to that field, I can collect another load, and then I'll set the Deutz off on a worker to finish ploughing, or whatever it is it's doing. Cultivating. So there was the possibility tonight that we were going to be playing a make-up session of Ravenport with Arthur in the team, since he didn't stream last week because he was sick. However, something's come up that he needs to take care of, so there's no multi-stream today, and we'll be trucking on Thursday as usual, and back to Ravenport on Friday with the team. Hi, you dogman. No, Arthur is, oh crap, not streaming tonight. Something came up. I don't know that that necessarily rules out him streaming something later, but the multiplayer farm is not going to be happening tonight. And okay, that does say I can unload. So you're kind of stuck with me in South America. Gathering up straw and ploughing a field. Well, I'm not ploughing a field, my worker's ploughing a field, or will be when I get back. Hi, Benpen. One of the changes I've made to the way I use my steering wheel is I will boot up into Truck Sim, which uses the force feedback, exit out of it, and then start Farm Sim, and that turns off the auto centering, so it doesn't whir so much, but I have to steer the tractor as opposed to let the wheel slide through my hands, but at least you don't get the zzz as I'm turning. There'll still be a little bit of noise, but not so much. And you'll be able to tell if I forget to do that, because it will be making whirring noises. So what is the time here? It's 8 o'clock at night. Good grief. So, good news for people who don't like cleaning up their animals. There is a animal cleanliness mod currently available on ModHoster DE, and it is a beta version. does mean you don't have to clean up after your animals all the time, and that's what I have running on. Why didn't that work? Because I didn't lower it. There we go. I didn't select the wagon. Yeah, so that is available on ModHoster.de. It's a beta release, so there may be some issues with it, but it looks like it works. I do not have it downloaded at this point because I only just found out about it. I also don't know whether it's on the Giants list of 200 mods to test. But it'll nice to see that coming in if you don't like cleaning up after your animals. I think when you first start off it's not so much of an issue, but after a year and a half of cleaning up after them and you've got a farm of 500 cows, you tend to be, I'm done with cleaning up every 10 minutes. And you're kind of happy to have mods like that. I think I've pretty much downloaded every mod except what's it? There's a 1.5 meter plough on the in-game mod hub, which I haven't bothered with because really I'm not planning to play a farm with a Hurleyman as my primary tractor. And the other one is there's a very, very small weeder, and I didn't download that either. A couple of other things like player speed and I don't think I downloaded the water plane either. Yeah, make your own little ponds. It looks nice, but for the most part I'm relatively happy with how things work on the farm, and you can buy the water tank. But it's nice to see a goodly number of mods coming out. Generally about 3 to 5 per day. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop by this guy. Hopper B was blocked by me. Quick look. Yeah, he's rolling. Okay. So back to the store to sell the store again. And you'll find out next Saturday, but late Sunday I decided to log into Lawfolds, Aberdeenshire, and ship all of the bales to the BGA to save a bit of time. Since the truck only moves 24 and I've got over 150, I figured it's probably worthwhile just moving them in one go off camera. All of the bales are have finished baking, so they're all ready to sell, and I'll be doing that next week on Saturday, which after the big, what did we have, great demand on wool and a great demand on soybeans. It's either soybeans or canola. We made about $300,000 in sales, so that farm's getting quite rich now. Obviously there's a choice to be made. I'm in field buying mode on that one, so it'll be deciding which fields to buy. No, this is a solo farm. I do not have a server available to run it on. Oops. That's done. It's something I might consider doing, running a multiplayer server, but not right now. Oh, hello. Yeah. Texting and driving. Reading text and driving. Well, it's good to have you along, Thomas. And if you want to ask questions or create a topic for discussion, that's good too. I also got around to downloading Elite Dangerous onto this PC. It'll take me a while to get back into it, remap everything, and figure out how to play the game again, since I haven't played it for about a year and a half. I've noticed on a lot of the mod maps that are coming out now, there is an issue with, well, it seems to be an issue with placing buildings and other placeables on the maps, in that it keeps coming back and saying the terrain cannot be deformed, or words to that effect. And does that keep happening? Which is a bit concerning. It does seem that a lot of the mob maps that are being produced and are currently sort of showcasing, you can either have the map with buildings on, and the buildings tend to be tailored for the farm area, so you have a set of buildings which is a single what do you call it, asset, and it's either on the map or it's not. You can sell that single asset if you start in new farmer mode, but you can't buy it if you start in farm manager or start from scratch mode. So that's a bit of a shame. But there are, the modders, the map makers are producing tailored to fit cow farms and sheep farms and pig farms. But if you don't start in new farmer mode, you're stuck with the standard, generally stuck with the standard Giants provided animal enclosure assets. Right, currently there are a number of maps that have been submitted to Giants, but they have not been released yet. I know there is DR Modding on Facebook has a map called Rolling Hills, which is quite a classic American style map. There's no train, and the whole map looks very organic, just like you'd be driving through the Midwest through large farm fields. I don't believe the map's actually that big. Maybe a standard size 2x map, but it does present very well. Now, the version he's got on his website, he released at Christmas as a sort of Christmas New Year's present to his followers, and while it has all the buildings do not have doors, and he's intending to add doors to everything, but he couldn't get them to work in time for Christmas, so you get a functional map. There's people who are reporting that the map freezes up for them, or the sell points don't work. So at this point you're kind of looking at maps which are not 100% functional, or may not be 100% functional for everybody. Remember, your PC is different from my PC, and what might work on my PC might not work on yours, type of thing. But the maps are coming. A lot of the maps on some of the more, I tend to say, dubious mod sharing sites tend to be bad reworks of Farm Sim 17 maps. I know Arthur had an issue with I can't remember which one he tried to play, but he tried to play one and found out that had been modded for 19 without the permission of the original map maker. And the original map maker let him use Tombstone for a stream. Unfortunately, after patch 1.2, his game save broke and Tombstone doesn't work on 1.2, or the version of Tombstone that he has doesn't work on 1.2. So that's why we haven't seen any more Tombstone videos. But yeah, it's kind of difficult. The for want of a better word, professional map makers are producing the maps and submitting them to Giants, and obviously Giants has a huge backlog of mods to test, and maps tend to take longer to test than say a tipper trailer does. And keep doing that, but they will come out eventually. However, the usual things with maps is that if something is found to be not working, it can be a while for Giants to give it back to the map maker to fix it, and then resubmit it, and then it to get back into the test queue. So as per usual, it's hard to say when an official map will be released. The only other option is to, Google around for FarmSim 19 maps and have a check around and see what you can find. As I said, I've looked at the Rolling Hills map, and it does look very nice, but I'm probably going to wait until he does his next release before I investigate it more seriously. And hi, is that Thusmask? And I can't read that. Hail team? And thanks for the cheers. What sort of maps are you looking for, Thomas? Just something different or specific to a region? I know for me, I tend to UK maps followed by European maps, I think. I'm usually not drawn to American style maps. They don't fit my style of play. However, as I said, Rolling Hills does present well, and I may give that a try. But I think every single field either has corn or wheat on it, because American Midwest. In this game, I honestly don't know. I haven't looked at hours played lately. This particular map is... I think I would be surprised to find out how many hours I've played. But I usually play it 2 to 3 hours at a time, and we probably had about 12 episodes. We're probably up to about 50 hours on this particular map. Right, okay. Yeah, I think the main map I'm looking forward to is Old Stream Farm. So I put in a fair number of hours in that in 17, and it does look improved over the 17 map. There's differences. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure they work well for the way the map is styled today, but it may be that it's not my style of map anymore. But we shall see. I'll definitely give that a look, and I'll probably do a first look tour on it. This will be the last of the straw. Do not have animals that need straw, so we can sell this. I must admit, this job is very reminiscent of what I used to do on my old stream farm. I didn't bale anything. I collected everything loose, stored it in a storage shed. I mixed the TMR by hand, well, by tractor and shovel, as opposed to by bale. All I had was a loading wagon and mowing kit. Because my game save of Old Stream Farm was just before Seasons came out. And since I'd made a half-assed attempt at starting Old Stream, and then they released version 2, which had the expanded fields behind the store. And so I restarted it then, and then Seasons came out a couple of months later, and I'm not going to start the game again. I've already done that once. So I never played that with Seasons, but when I decided, okay, I'm going to play a Seasons game, I started on All Folds because I always wanted to do a good playthrough of that one, that map. I've got about 480 hours on All Folds in FS17. Yeah, my go-to mod team no longer exists, which is a shame. I used to use a lot of mods from a group called GTX Mods. They're the guys that bought us the AR frame. Is this where I want to turn? Yeah. Which is a sort of short 10-wheel truck with various attachments you can put on the back, so it's as versatile as a tractor trailer rig, but it's a lot smaller and worked well for me on Old Stream, and it also works well on All Folds, where you've got narrow streets that with hedges and or buildings right up to the edge of the road. It's very difficult to get a tractor trailer round tight roads, whereas a small 10-wheel sort of local delivery truck works very well. And being versatile, I don't have to have a tipper, a bale trailer, a logging trailer, or a bale truck, a logging truck, which is where most of your money goes, is in putting an engine on the front of a trailer or a truck. Whereas if I can have a truck frame and put a different attachment on the back, depending on the job I want to do, the attachments are cheap. It's a bit like the IT Runner set, which is already in Farm Sim 19, except the AR frame had more options, and the frames were cheaper because they didn't have hooks. The trucks were cheaper because it didn't have a hydraulic lift to pull the attachment onto the back of the truck. But they also produced a couple of shed mods which allowed you to pretty much store everything. They produced the TMR mixing station and the pig feeds mixing station, which were quite handy to have. I think Arthur's John Deere farm in FS17 included those two mods as part of the map. I honestly don't know. I think that in general the trucks do not have a hitch at the back. I'm sure that we will get some mod trucks which do include hitches. I know Farmer Klein did a recent mod review of a number of trucks, and one of those was a big rig cab with the option of having a hitch on the back. And if you got the hitch on the back, it also had what are they called? That thing there, PTO. Also had a PTO on it as well, which makes it a little bit more functional. So I can drop that. I'm not done with that. I think I'm probably done with this tractor. Put the rear light on so I can see. But yeah, if you're interested in Mod Farmer Klein, I recommend checking out his YouTube channel, because he does keep an eye on what's what. There's another YouTube channel I caught recently which does review of a bunch of stuff like farm sim, truck sims, train sims, sort of latest news announcements and stuff like that, and he tends to produce a report pretty much daily on stuff that's happening in those types of games. I'm not going to chase down the tractor. Where is it? Till it gets to the end, I'll take over. Well, you need the 64K mixer if you've got something that, if you've got that many cows. And I know the AR frame tractor or mixer I'm using is 24,000 litres, which is really not a good number, because it's 22,000 litres. So it's 5.5 bales. So if you're mixing, you tend to put it's two silage, 2 hay, 1 straw. But with about 130 cows, I'm cycling generally 2 mixes per feed. Although I would say that's not necessarily a big deal. Obviously, if I was feeding, if I needed 128,000 litres of TMR, then a 64,000 litre mixer would go a long way to making my life easier. Now, missed a bit. I mean, depending on how rich your farm is, and obviously this farm not too rich at all at the moment. You could run a farm on a Hurleyman. It's just that it's going to take you a long time to plough and or cultivate and or seed, because you can't use big equipment. But you don't have to have big equipment to do the work. You just get more done if you can use big equipment. And it's something I found on law folds. One of the fields I've got is huge, and I started out doing that with 6-metre equipment. So it used to take me a long time. Not a big deal running a 6-day season, but once you get to sort of, okay, I've got 15 fields out there and I need to get them all ploughed in a day, I can't do that with a 3-metre plough. So at that point you're looking at, can I afford a bigger tractor? Can I afford bigger equipment? So that I can get this job done in the time I need to do it. I mean, at the moment I'm using, this is a 4-metre cultiplough, which counts as the field needs ploughing, it counts as a plough for that, although it does not count as a plough for contract work. But it leaves the field cultivated, so I can then run my seeder over it. Now, my mind is I want this field producing as much as it can, as often as it can. So I would like to get this field planted tonight. As it is, I'm probably going to let this night run through and start seeding it first thing in the morning. But that does mean there's a time, there's going to be 8 hours, 10 hours where this field isn't being productive for me. And when you've only got 2 fields and you're keeping all your equipment running, you kind of want everything being as productive as possible 100% of the time. But as I get more fields and it's taking me long, there's more downtime involved having small equipment. That's the point you start buying the bigger equipment, not because you have to have it, but because it's going to increase your turnover, financial turnover, because fields are not sitting around waiting for the next piece of equipment to come along. It's something I've had to do on law folds. My biggest tractor was a Class Axion 940, which has about 380 horsepower and can haul the big Lemken plough, which I can't remember what the width on that is. I've got it running a 12 metre cultivator, a 12 metre seeder and or planter. The problem is I've only got the one of them. So if I've got 10 fields that need cultivating, I've got to send that tractor around and cultivate all 10 fields, and then I've got to send the same tractor out and plant them all. So, beginning of the current game year, I went out and got myself a Class Zarian 4000, which can support the 940 in the really heavy jobs, because my next tractor down's only got about 300 or 280 horsepower and can't haul that big equipment. So what's that? BSM had a truck in 7.3 point. Yes, the AR frame trucks optionally came with a front PTO and 3-point as well. And on Old Stream Farm, I hitched one up to a wood chipper, so I could chop down a tree and then just drive the truck up to the tree and chip the wood, as opposed to having a tractor on hand to run the chipper and then still having the truck there for the tipper on the back. Oh, no. Potatoes are incredibly bad deal. Yes, you will probably make money on it. But the problem with potatoes is you need about 8 to 10 times the seed that you would for any other crop, even the inefficient crops. I think in general your wheat, oats, barley, corn and sugar beets use a certain amount of seed. You use less seed for soybeans, you use less seed for canola, and you use less seed for sunflower, and you use about 10 times as much seed as wheat to do potatoes. So that is going to be a huge cost if you're going to do a big field of potatoes. Now, where potatoes break even is it's not the first crop that you plant. that is any good, because you are going to use a ton of seed planting that first field. However, once you've planted that first field, you harvest it, you load up the planter with potatoes that you just harvested and replant the field. Then you sell the excess. Or then you use those potatoes to plant another field as well. But because you can use the crop that you pull from the ground to reseed the field, that's where potatoes starts making you money. It's kind of like sugarcane, where you plant the sugarcane once and then you just keep harvesting it. Grass is the same. You plant grass once and you just keep harvesting it because it just grows and grows and grows. Potatoes you have to harvest, but once you've harvested them, you can use the potatoes as seed, and they're the only crop currently that you can do that for. Now, there were mods in Farm Sim 17 that allowed you to turn the harvest into seeds to replant, and you had to mix it with stuff in order to do that. But that's obviously not an option currently in FS19 until they actually get round to producing that. Hello, Johnny. Yeah, Arthur, something came up for Arthur, so he's had to bail out on tonight. He was planning to do multiplayer Ravenport to catch up on the fact that he missed Friday because he was sick. I do have Steam. I like Steam. Initially, I can't remember the first game I got through Steam, and actually the first game I got that used Steam was actually I bought the CD, and they required me to register the CD with Steam so I could play the game. And at that time it was kind of I really don't want to have to do this because I don't know who these people are. But having updated my PCs over the years since that point, I find Steam to be incredibly convenient. This latest PC, we got this in September, and you're obviously, hey, I've got a brand new PC and I'm faced with having to download all my games, and obviously being able to do that from one place is a heck of a lot easier than going off to 20 different places. I've got Train Sim 19 currently, and I've bought a couple of third-party mods to go on it, or DLC to go on it. Currently I do not have any of those DLCs loaded on this PC because it's too much like hard work going to find them all. So just being able to log into Steam, log into various other obviously Wargaming .net, I can download World of Tanks, World of Warships. I haven't played World of Tanks in about 2.5 years, and I probably won't. So that's not such a big deal, actually. Let's slow this down and see what I've got available. I have a trailer house. I could buy that. Yeah, let's go and see where I could stick that. I'm not sure that would fit there. No. Ooh. Okay, I really don't want to put it in the middle of the road. Oh, there we go. That's how to rotate it. You don't own this land. Oh, I do own that land. There we go. Okay. That cost me a fair amount of money. However, if we run over here, I can go to sleep now and skip the night. Toggle flashlight, previous hand tool. You're not going to let me do it, are you? There we go, sleep. Ah.